On this week's show, we're talking wrestling. More specifically, local wrestling. We've got two of the main guys from Primetime Wrestling in the studio. Check it out now. Hello and welcome to the Collectoverse podcast, your home for all things Collectoverse. We are a small indie toy store in Prince George, British Columbia, Canada. My name is Matt Walker and I will be your host. I will oftentimes be joined by my partner Berlin McPherson as a co-host, and other times we will have a special guest join us. Maybe both. Who knows what we'll get up to. We'll be using our time to talk mostly about toys, pop culture, and the many fandoms that we all love. We have many terrific show ideas to try, and if you keep with us, you may be surprised at what you hear. Hey everybody, Matt here. We had another big week. We were pretty busy with a bunch of stuff, didn't have a lot of time to make a show, but I did have some time to catch up with some friends who are putting on a sweet wrestling show in March. March 17th and 18th, to be specific, at the House of Ancestors here in Prince George, if you don't want to listen to the whole show. But I'm sure you do, because there's a couple surprises. Anyway, here's the interview. All right, I'm here with Davey Greenlees, the president of Primetime Wrestling.
Good day.
Good day, and I'm here with Stuart the Mauler Brown, one of the stars of Primetime Wrestling.
Hello and good day.
So, yeah, tell me about the name change on Primetime, because you guys have been around for a long time in the region here.
Yeah, quite a few years ago now, and I kind of was trying to figure out when that actually started. You remember?
The first show for Maniac Wrestling was December 3rd, 2000.
Awesome.
So, yeah, and the Mauler had started that, and I joined him in that process a few years later. And we ran that for quite a while. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun, long time ago for sure.
Yeah. I don't know if I made it out to many of those shows back then because I was, off doing whatever, right? Young guy.
Chasing girls.
Yeah, doing whatever, right? But I always really, really enjoyed wrestling. And for a long time, that was kind of what you were doing was kind of it for in town. There was no big brands coming through.
Yeah, ECCW used to make small trips through every once in a while, but it wasn't very often either.
Yeah, and then it seems in the last few years with you, you were there doing those shows for CWE.
Yes,
and so you brought those guys.
That's right. Yeah, right? I worked with them in that to try and help them out to get the shows better here.
And those are good shows.
Yeah,
they were excellent shows.
Yeah.
They were a lot of fun.
For sure. Yeah, that was fun. I was very excited. And every time I'm just there yelling, love live wrestling.
Yeah, we took a little bit of a break here in Prince George, and the Mauler did some traveling and performing, and I know I did a few trips helping some guys out, and that was a lot of fun. And then, of course, while we were down and not doing local shows, the pandemic hit and kind of squashed everything. And then during that time, we had a good friend and wrestler that worked with us by the name of Primetime Frankie Styles. He, during all of the sadness and depression and stuff, that he took his life. Yeah. And we were all left pretty brokenhearted about that and wondering what to do. And then the Mauler here suggested that when things opened up that we do bring back one of our tournaments and rename it after him as the Primetime Tournament. So that's what we did a few months ago.
Yeah, I was there. It was awesome. It was a terrific show, and it was a really great tribute.
Thank you. Yeah.
From you guys doing your tribute to even Todd doing his thing. It was really good. Him introducing the number, all that stuff wasn't out yet, but he was talking about it, and so it was really cool.
It was very emotional, and
very. You can tell.
Was afterwards we felt just on such a high that it was so amazing and so good, and having been out of it for a while, we kind of got the bug and thought, oh no, we need to do this again.
Well, I'm glad you did.
So yeah, we decided to put our heads together and decided to go a little bit bigger and a little bit better, and brand things a little bit, and then rename it after our buddy Primetime.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you guys ever thought of doing a televised show? During the pandemic, I kept tabs and kept watching CWE all the time, and they have a really totally terrific, shitty online YouTube
Yes.
channel show.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I love it. Like there's like one angle with like a HD cam, and there's one that's like a not so good camera. Yeah, it's like but like,
Somebody's
like,
old GoPro.
Yeah, but it's like it's terrific, and like they're in a tiny room, you can tell.
Yes.
And so, like, you guys ever thought of doing something like that?
Yes, we want to film the shows as well, and then we got our YouTube channel, which we haven't really been saying anything about too much yet,
Yeah.
but we're gonna put everything
great.
hopefully
Eventually
up on
have
YouTube.
all the matches and everything up there for people to have a look at.
Awesome.
So
Yeah, that's like, it's so huge for a wrestling organization, right? Like, just to have that, because, like, the promos, they matter.
yeah,
We were talking about it earlier, and like one of my favorite DVDs that I own is Macho Man. There's like a greatest matches disc, and then there's just every promo from like the start to the end. So it's like everything from the beginning all the way up into like WCW, and like you just watch him go from like this maniac to that maniac. It's like you see the whole evolution. The promo is awesome.
Yeah, no,
So-
we'd like to get it so then we have like a couple guys doing the mics and doing the commentary before we put it up, and
Great.
that's the plan eventually.
Sweet.
step one is to have the shows.
Of course.
Actually, step one was to build a
Brand new ring.
Yeah, a brand new wrestling ring.
That's awesome.
So it'll debut on the shows coming up.
Nice.
And then once we get those shows on, we're going to start moving into the next few phases.
Well, that's exciting, man. Like I hate to sound like a fanboy here, but like I'm really excited for wrestling.
We're pretty stoked about it too.
Yeah.
I know we're both, especially as times gets closer and closer to our March shows there, that we're getting a little bit less sleep and
Yep.
having all the ideas and things that are coming up, and it's exciting for us too.
Yeah, it's nice every time we get to check something off the list. When the brand new canvas arrived out of Vancouver, and we were able to roll it out, and it fit perfectly onto the ring. Like you measure it, everything's fine, but you still worry. Is it going to come up a couple inches short, not fit right? Because you got to order
always
it.
the worry.
Yeah, and everything has just been going perfect.
That's because it's the second time around. I use the air quotes here.
That's right. Yeah.
You got to screw up the first time.
Oh yeah, so I learned a lot on the road.
Yep.
Doing the death tours and the tours for mainstream wrestling on the East Coast, and learned a lot of what works and what I really didn't like, and
Yep.
And applying some like real business practices to the
Yes.
whole outline too
I'm sure your career moves have been a lot different now than they were at the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot more knowledge of
so
what we
much
should
more
be doing.
yeah, I had no knowledge when I started the other one. None.
And I think that's kind of the way it is, right? With like we're doing our event, Northern BC Toy Expo. We've booked it. We've done all the stuff, but like I know how to run a toy store. I know how to write off all kinds of things, but like I have no idea how to do a market.
Yeah.
But and every step of the way is like some new thing. I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that. People go, do you guys have Wi-Fi? I'm like, fuck, I guess we better.
I don't know.
So yeah, everyone's got Wi-Fi. That's good. But yeah,
Nice.
all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's sweet when it all works out. So I've been seeing all of the new talent posts,
Yes.
which they're not all new talent, but there's some of those guys like Top Gun and stuff, which are he was at the last one.
Yes,
or the
he
one
was,
before?
yeah.
That guy's awesome.
Yeah, we're doing our best to try and bring in some of the better talent in the area and guys that.
Like, where's he from?
He's out of the Kelowna area.
That's cool. Yeah, there's a lot. What is that ECCW that was out of there?
Thrash is there. Out of there now.
Thrash, that's right. And that's got what's that guy? Wears the pink trunks and like pretends to be an abusive asshole. What's that guy's name? Oh wait, that's wrestlers. Anyway, no. What's
all of them,
what's that guy's name? His name's Mike.
Mike Moore?
No, not Michael Moore. He's cool too. I like him.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't think of his name. Skids or
Shreds.
Shreds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I saw he was at that last one, or last year at the FanCon.
Yes.
And I was like, dude, I saw you at this thing. He's like, I've never been here. And then he looks at me later. He goes, oh no, I have. It was at this other thing. I'm like,
Yeah. He worked a couple shows for me out in Bella Coola a few years ago.
oh, Bella Coola's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Did everybody go? Because there's nothing to do there.
Yes, that's right. We've been running shows out there for quite some time, and they love us there. And,
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's a cool place. If anybody's never been to Bella Coola, you got to go there.
Yeah, it's
like
gorgeous.
That's it's a bit of a snake to get down there.
Yeah.
Driving
driving the
that's
ring
part of
truck.
the cool part is taking that ring truck down the hill and
smelling the brakes
hoping you're gonna make it to the bottom in one piece.
Yeah, and I went and DJ'd a party down there one time. It was why just find somebody closer, but I guess we were the closest. Okay, so this show primarily being we talk about toys or like pop culture stuff. I want to ask, when you were a kid, what was your toy? What was the toy line that you loved, if there was one?
The most I had, and I still have a ton of it, is G.I. Joe.
Oh, that's sweet. I didn't know you were a Joe man.
Yeah, I had tons of it. I had the big hovercraft.
Cool.
Yeah, and I still have lots that I gave it to my son for his birthday a few years ago, all my old stuff.
Very cool. Yeah, I've just been getting into it. Like, I liked it as a kid, but I just didn't have it. I don't know if it was too expensive or what.
Of the G.I. Joe stuff, and the base and and the jets and the helicopters and
that's cool.
And all of the stuff. And then I used to play with it and then take it apart and then store it away and then put it all back together and play with it. And then I had it stored away, and then when I thought my kid was old enough, I let him at it.
He didn't do it the same way you did.
Oh no, it all got destroyed.
Oh man.
I used to take the guys apart. They had the one screw in the back, and then I would switch out all the parts.
Yeah, customizing figures is sweet. I saw this guy, so it's unrelated to those figures, but there's this guy online, and he does. Remember the old dog toy wrestlers, like the rubber LJN wrestlers, the big ones?
Because I was going to talk about those next.
Dude customizes them into G.I. Joes.
Oh really?
Yeah, and they look perfect. They're like perfectly dead on. But yeah, G.I. Joe stuff. I've only recently been getting into the vehicles.
Yeah,
because I don't really care about the figures. They're cool. I like to put them in the vehicles and then display the stuff.
Yeah. The vehicals are cool.
Yeah.
I was never lucky enough to have the battleship or the spaceship.
Carrier?
Yeah.
No, those are big. I saw a picture today of a kid who had received the what's the Defiant? Is that the big?
I think it's the Defiant.
The Defiant, but the big space shuttle, and it was as tall as him.
Yes.
And I'm just like, man, just the box. I'm just like, man, that's too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, those rubber wrestlers.
Yeah, I had probably 20 to 30 of those. I had the ring.
That's awesome.
Yeah, played with them all the time.
Who was your go-to guy?
Boy, I always played with probably Macho and Junkyard Dog a lot because the two of them actually connected in their arms so they could slam each other.
They didn't move around. They
That's
were
right.
Yep.
Those two
into place.
Yeah, snap together so you could actually slam each other with them.
What was his name? Big John Studd?
Oh yeah.
Had one of those.
Yep.
Hogan, of course. You always
King
had
Kong
that
Bundy.
Hogan.
I never had Hogan.
Really?
Yeah.
I think there's 2 or 3 different Hogans, and they're all kind of expensive now. And so I think it's one because with that line, it's a weird thing. Canada got the line went longer in Canada, so you were probably done with toys by the time it was there. But 88, 89, there was 2 extra series that came to Canada but didn't go to the States. So they're super rare now and super expensive, and you can only find them in Canadian garage sales.
Yeah.
Well, and you had the ring too, right?
Yes. Yeah, I snapped a post eventually, but the rubber bands would keep stretching. You just keep wrapping them tighter around the post. And,
Yeah.
I didn't have the ring.
I had Corporal Kirshner.
Oh yeah, everybody. Corporal Kirshner. Yeah, I like that line too. I never really collected it. You've got a few years on me, and by that I mean probably just a few. And the toy lines, they got kind of a 5-year span.
Yeah.
Right, and it's G.I. Joe has been around forever because it's just 60s Big Joes, and then it just changes as they go.
Yeah. Because
Hasbro loves to just make money.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. But stuff the wrestlers and things like that, they're there for the ramp up to Hulkamania, and then they're starting not to sell anymore. We're done. LJN's making video games now.
Yeah.
Right. But so I missed at the time. I missed stuff like G.I. Joe, Transformers. I always liked them. I had some of them, but I just didn't collect those things as a kid.
Yeah.
They weren't my toys. I had Ninja Turtles, but here I am now, 42-year-old man, and man, I got a lot of G.I. Joes in my basement.
I had some of those wrestlers. They would had holes in their back to go under your thumbs.
The thumb wrestlers.
Yeah, I had a bunch of them too.
Yeah, they were pretty much the same model as the dog toys.
Yeah.
But just smaller. I guess you probably would have been out of toys by then. Well, maybe, who knows? But remember the kind of pillow ones, the wrestling.
Yes,
the
I remember the pills. Yeah, the buddies. Yeah.
So dumb. But what's not to like about that toy, right? You just grab the thing and
that's right, and
pile
slam
drive
around.
it in the house.
Yep.
Yeah, toys, man. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear about. So, do you collect anything now, or are you too busy paying for wrestling shows?
At the moment, once in a while, I'll do like the Tim Hortons card set.
That's cool.
Yeah, the hockey set one. You know,
those are always fun.
Yeah, I haven't done it in a couple of years, but I always seem to put it out when I'm out hunting, and that's when my money goes to hunting, and then I'm out in the woods when I should be buying them. So
that's right. You gotta send a message back. You gotta get those cards. And they miss them.
Yeah.
I've been trolling the Hot Wheels stuff for the last little bit. One of my kids collects, and he's pretty random on what his stuff is, but I'm pretty narrow on just like Jeep-oriented stuff. So there's not a lot of that, but it comes out a little bit here and there.
Those are the best collections, I think. Either like super strict, these things, or just this wide variety. Like they're the most interesting ones. You see people with really I collect Jeeps. I've got Jeeps. Cool. I collect Camaros. That's it.
That's
okay.
it, yeah.
You know, and then you got the guys with I like this one because it was pink.
Yeah.
And then they just have this big
I like
wall
this
of
one because it's a donut.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
I like the one that's a toilet. You know, there's all kinds of things in that line that are neat, and it's pretty cheap way to do it. Like a couple bucks at a time.
Yeah.
But man, eventually you still spend G.I. Joe money.
Yeah. When Episode 1 Star Wars came out, I probably got 50 or more of the figures carded still.
Yep.
And then I started buying like the French ones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
I had Darth Maul speaking French when the little scanners.
With the what is that, Comtech?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I always forget about that, about like Canadian toys being different than American toys because they're bilingual toys a lot of the time.
Yeah.
When we moved our store, we gave a bunch of stuff to the thrift store, and there was an Iron Man that is bilingual, and it's like, so he's like, I am Iron Man, but the other side, it's in French, and it sounds totally dorky.
Yes.
And you can just imagine a French superhero, and you're just like, whatever, man.
Je m'appelle Iron Man.
That's right. You're like, whatever, dude. Yeah, so the big show coming up.
Yeah, it is March 17th and 18th.
That's awesome.
It's going to be at the House of Ancestors again. It seems to be a really nice venue for us to.
It's definitely a really nice venue.
Yeah. And we're also doing it for charity. So the tickets are on sale. They're only going to be minimum. They're by donation. A minimum donation of $5.
Good price.
And if you can afford that or can afford more, you can donate more. 100% of the ticket sales is going to support the Prince George Crisis Prevention Center.
Great.
In Primetime's name there. And so we're really excited. We had Canadian Tire come on board to help us finance the show. And then everything that we bring in from that is just going to go right to the charity.
That's very, very cool.
And if people are kind of concerned, there was an era of wrestling for a while that was pretty edgy, and you wouldn't necessarily want to take your children to it. We are family friendly and really focusing on that. So, yes, there's wrestling, but you're not going to see, blood or swear words or that kind of stuff. So you can bring your kids and still have a good time.
That's great.
And that's kind of one of the
trying
focuses.
to really focus on the family friendly and
Yeah, for sure.
get the kids out.
Family friendly and community oriented. We really want to support different things in the community. So not just do this and have everybody come out and us, jam the cash in our pocket and run away, right?
Yeah, there's lots of licensing options to jam the cash in your pocket.
Yeah.
But like the actual events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Doing that stuff is always good. Yeah, always raising some money for somebody.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
hoping
and that's
that,
pretty much what we want to do just about, every time, really.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, every event we want to have it for a different charity or fundraiser of some kind for a different group in town.
That's rad. I'm very excited about this event, but just going forward, more and more events.
Yeah.
Because more and more talent. Because that last show, or the last two shows, the tournament.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was terrific.
Excellent. Thank you.
I've seen pretty much every indie wrestling that comes to town. Because I don't get to travel much. I'm always working or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's usually the thing, right? It's if there's an event, I'm usually there behind the soundboard. So I kind of have to if there's an event and there's a wrestling attached, I'm at the fair.
Well, and it's important to us that when we have talent come in and wrestlers come in from different places, that they're of some level of quality, that we can ensure that we're going to get good matches and everybody's going to enjoy what they see in front of them. Yeah,
that's what I want to see anyway. And for a minimum donation of $5 at this one coming up on the 17th and 18th
on both shows, March. You have to buy tickets for either show or both shows, $5 a piece minimum. Tickets are on sale at the Scrapbook Zone on 18th Avenue. They have them there available. And show starts at 7 o'clock. The bell starts at 7 o'clock. We'll open up the 7:30?
7:30.
Oh, 7:30. I stand corrected.
That's better for me.
Better for me too.
Yeah.
And
they're different shows as well. People, because I've got that question lots. That there.
Is it tournament this time? No.
But we do have two new belts.
Oh.
Like brand new, never been seen before.
Oh, that's very cool.
And I saw photos. They're amazing, and those will potentially be going out on one or both the nights.
Oh, that's great. What do you guys have for a Maniac belt?
There was the heavyweight and the Northwestern. Yeah. And surprisingly, that's what we've named them again. It's the heavyweight and the Northwestern again.
Northwestern belt sounds badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrific. I love regional stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
Eventually, if we can get built up and bigger than that, then we'll introduce a women's title and then possibly tag team titles as well. But for now, we're going to start with the two top tier belts and go from there.
No, I've always liked that in the indie wrestling, the stuff where you've got some guy comes in from who knows where and takes your belt, and you're like, oh man, who's this guy? And then you gotta take it back.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, no, very excited about them. They've been shipped out. They're on the way, and we're very excited to see them once they get here in person.
Sweet. Well, I'll see them at the show. Here's a standard wrestling question: who's your favorite wrestler of all time? You can have multiple, like who does the best promo, who's the best in the ring, but like who's your guy?
Oh boy, I was first growing up. I don't know if I really had like favorite so much, because I loved the tag team division.
Cool.
In the 80s.
Yeah, very, very cool.
I loved the whole the Demolition, the Killer Bees. I loved when they put on their masks and like hop in and out. The Rockers.
Rockers were
awesome.
The
British Bulldogs. The Hart Foundation. Like to me, I actually, when I got into the business, I never wanted to be like a heavyweight champion or any of that stuff. I'd love to just be a tag team specialist.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's my favorite is tag team wrestling.
Cool.
Yeah, mine also. When I was a kid, I was always, when we're playing wrestling out in the yard and doing things that we shouldn't, guaranteed I was Davey Boy Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he had a cool name to start with.
I was going to introduce you as
Davey Boy.
The British Columbian Bulldog.
Yeah, exactly.
Davey Boy Greenlees.
Little and feisty and mean.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So guaranteed. I also... really, really liked Roddy Piper.
Yeah, he's
going
terrific.
Up through all of that, and my brother growing up was like super Hulk Hogan fan. So when those two were going at it, I just loved that. Like Piper was amazing at stirring things up.
Yeah, heel always my favorite. Yeah. Like just no matter what. Kind of like the more cowardly the better.
Yeah.
The kind of guy who comes in, smacks you one and then hides behind his valet who's, much smaller. I love it. They're bad dudes, and I love that stuff.
Attitude Era, it was Stone Cold for sure, probably, though.
Oh, yeah.
It just, everything about that whole him versus Vince and the beer truck and...
Well, especially how stupid all the rest of everything was. He was like Stone Cold is so very everyman, straight ahead, just like a guy. And then there's like all like the what was the corporate.
Well, there's the corporation that, and then the corporate ministry.
Yeah, right. It's like fuck off, guys. Come on, it got very ridiculous, which I also like. Because like I love over the top stuff, but that was
I don't remember it all greatly, but like it just I seem to remember like he'd fight the guy and at the pay-per-view, and then like you wouldn't see that guy he'd be done with him and on to the next guy.
Yeah.
It was like he went through people. He wasn't battling the same guy for 2 years.
Yeah, the feuds were very different at the time for sure.
Yeah.
Because that was, I remember in like the classic WWF era, there was lots of feuds where it'd be back and forth, like all the intercontinental stuff with, who'd be there, Tito Santana, Macho Man, all those guys. And it'd be like, Macho Man would cut a promo. Oh, you're going to get it. Tito Santana would have the title, and he'd cut a promo. You're not gonna get this back, and then he'd get it back.
Yeah.
And then it'd bounce back and forth, which is awesome because you can rally.
Yes.
Again, or either for or against whatever. But like just stuff like like Ricky Steamboat, same time, all that.
Yeah.
Like I loved Intercontinental.
See, me too.
Title.
I thought that design of belt was 1,000 times better than the heavyweight. I thought it looked just amazing.
Yeah, and just like I'm big on like it's not a cruiserweight title; it's still a heavyweight title, but it's kind of like in between. You can be both.
Yes.
Right, but just the stuff like I love TNA X Division was it for me. Like I watching that stuff, I guess AJ Styles is big star now.
Yes,
all those guys came over there with like Black Machismo, and then like. Yeah, it was like a whole new thing for me. I had watched all the classic stuff in the 80s and 90s, and I just kind of like let it go. And I was like, somebody's like, you got to see this. And I watched it, I was just like, oh my God, and I just loved wrestling again.
Yeah.
Which is cool when that can happen.
Yeah, growing up, I was one of the probably one of the weird ones because I would only ever watch WWF. Mm-hmm. Like everyone would tell me, like watch All Star on TV or watch WCW, and I couldn't get into any of it because when I looked at it, the production value wasn't as good.
It was different for sure.
Yeah, WWF had like the production years ahead of the rest of them.
WCW was like hit or miss for a long time until the fateful Russo era, whatever, where it got really good to look at.
Yeah.
But it was the clown shoes, man.
Yeah.
It was like, it was cool. There was good stuff. Like there's lots of good like worker wrestlers in there, like Disco Inferno and stuff. And but it's a stupid gimmick, but I love it. Just knocks you down, dances over top of you. Like that's awesome. That's like a classic gimmick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I always really liked that stuff. But yeah, I get it for sure.
Yeah.
Being into the WWF at the time.
Yeah.
Because it was. There's a reason.
I think it was like on right after school too. Like you could come home from school and it was on, so you could like watch it almost any time.
It was also so many shows, right? Like even back in the early days, there was like a Saturday show and there was like weekly shows.
Well, the Saturday morning where it was just like a superstar beating up a jobber the whole show, and then the very last hour, the very match would actually be like two main guys, but it was just them beating up jobbers for the whole time and. Yeah, but then that's what you got to watch most times, and then when Saturday night's main event came around, and then you're actually seeing the top guy versus the top guy. Mm-hmm. The old tag team used to be like 2 out of 3 falls, and it was so good.
Yeah,
good old days.
Yeah, and you can watch it all on WWE Network for a nominal fee, blah blah blah, because they bought every fucking company.
They bought it all.
Yeah. The hell? What's this? My phone's going off here. Hello?
Hello.
Hey.
Matt, we've got a big problem.
Oh, what's the problem?
Matt, I've been listening to your show for the whole episode. They've been talking about Primetime Wrestling. It's going to be a big weekend. And not one time in the whole program have they mentioned the biggest star that's going to be there, and that is Mr. Beefy Goodness Vance Nevada.
Well, that is a tragedy. That is a shame. But I'm sure we can talk about you now.
Absolutely we can. That's my favorite subject.
I thought I was done with you when I beat you when you were here last time.
Believe me, I'm more resilient than that.
Well, I don't recall signing some paperwork there, Vance. You plan to come back and join us, do you?
Whether paperwork is signed or not, when there's a championship opportunity, you can bet that I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there live. I'm bringing my wrestling boots, and I will be in Prince George on March 17th and 18th.
All right. All right.
Okay, well, while I've got you here, Vance, I wouldn't mind talking about your latest book. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I saw you at the last event with your books there. I didn't buy it then. I bought it on Kindle later.
Okay.
Just to be clear, I don't want to get in shit for it.
Sure.
But so yes, in 2022. Vance released his book, Uncontrolled Chaos, Canada's Remarkable Professional Wrestling Legacy. That's published by Friesen Press. I'm sure if you're here, you'll have books here with you.
I generally have them with me. The challenge has been for people, if they're waiting till intermission or till the end of the show, very often, within the first half hour of doors opening, the books have been selling out everywhere from Nanaimo to Ottawa.
And you got to get in there early then.
You got to get in there early. If you want it, you can't say, I'll come back and see you at intermission. Like, save the hot dog for intermission. Get your book now.
That's right. The important stuff.
Yes.
Anything else you want to talk about while we've got you on the line?
I think, getting into the book, what inspired it was, there's so many stories in Canadian wrestling that have never been told. When people talk about Canadian wrestling, particularly when you listen to an American podcast, they talk about Stu Hart, they talk about Stampede Wrestling, they talk about Montreal, they talk about the Rougeaus, and that's typically all you ever hear about. When you in the territory era of wrestling, you've got a territory like the Vancouver territory. All-Star Wrestling began in 1930 and ran continuously right through to 1989. So it actually outlasted, those big empires of wrestling. It outlasted Toronto, it outlasted Stampede, and probably had one of the most diverse schedules where you had this talent that's coming in. They're working everywhere from the Queen Charlotte Islands all the way down into Washington State and into Idaho in one of the most geographically remote territories of North America. But, beyond that, if you've picked up any wrestling book, you might read about 100 wrestlers, when in reality, in the history of Canadian wrestling, there was probably more than 10,000 men and women who've competed here. And each one of them has an interesting story to tell. So we try to capture as many of those as possible in 462 pages.
That's awesome.
Well, and as much as I'm not a big Vance fan, I have gotten my hands on the book and looked through it, and done the typical thing and flipped through it to find my name, and then I put it down.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I am a big Vance fan.
Oh.
And I'm very happy that you called in. Obviously, I would be, right?
Yes.
Why wouldn't I be?
Prince George has always been a really good town for me. The fans in Prince George are phenomenal, and anytime that I've been there, it's always provided me with a little bit of inspiration that has given me something that I've taken away and used during the rest of my career. In fact, I can remember one of the first times that I wrestled in Prince George. It was part of a 6-night tour, and I missed the first night because I had another commitment, and so I missed traveling with the rest of the crew, and I had to fly in overnight, on the red eye and make it to the show. And I remember getting to the event, and I felt like, I'm too tired to wrestle tonight. Like, I just feel bagged. I don't know if I'm going to be able to compete. And was able to muster the energy to get through my match, and then I don't know why, but suddenly I had this idea that I just want to sing. And at the end of the match, I looked to the organizers and I said, I think I'm going to sing tonight. And they said, don't do that. I said, I think it'll be a great idea. They said, we're telling you, do not sing tonight. But I sang anyway, tremendously. The fans were not appreciative of my vocal stylings. But it's become a ritual, and I continue to sing when the mood so strikes me to this day, and have done so in arenas across the country. And that all began in Prince George.
If I remember correctly, you sung Desperado.
Yeah.
Indeed, I did.
And I don't know if we really want to call it singing, but
No.
But there was some of the Desperado words coming out of your mouth.
I may release an album. That may be my next project. Now that the book's done, still very active and successful with wrestling, but an album may be my next project, because you always need to be looking at a new challenge ahead of you.
I agree 100%. Always forward momentum.
Absolutely. there's very few wrestlers in Canada that have laid the schedule that I've laid. And actually, I had a very glorious debate with one of the Killer Bees, Brian Blair, over the last few weeks because he had suggested to me that indie wrestlers are lesser than the guys who had the opportunity to make a living full time under contract. And I said, Brian, I disagree with you. And here's why. If you have someone who has been an independent wrestler for as long as I have and maintained the schedule that I have competed in more than 1,600 professional wrestling matches. In that time, in addition to wrestling, I've appeared on reality TV shows. I've written 3 books. I've done choreography work in live theater. I've contributed to the industry in many, many ways. So for you to tell me that, someone like myself that spent 30 years in the business is lesser than someone who was under contract for 5 years, I'm going to tell you, Brian Blair, you're full of crap. And I did so, but not as briefly as I just did succinctly now. He got that in 3 long pages. Independent wrestling, the guys that are doing this and have done this and continue to do this, and I'd say this even applies to promoters as well. We know we're not going to leave as millionaires. If you're fortunate enough to scrape out a living and support your family, that's a great thing. But the injuries that you sustain, both short term and long term, are serious. And the fact that you remain in the industry because of your passion for the sport of wrestling, despite not having a guaranteed contract, there is no pay if you're sitting at home. You don't get 6 months to wait out the injury and then come back and still not have to worry about feeding your family. For those people that have truly weathered the storm and have been in this industry for a significant amount of time, I mean, these people are the truest wrestlers that ever were. I mean, when I broke into the game, I started wrestling in 1993. And at that time, the ratio was 75% of all the guys that start wrestling will be done within the first year. And an additional 10% will be done after year 2. So you're left with 15% of all the aspiring wrestlers that believe they're superstars are actually going to be in this for the long haul. And so as a result, you don't see very many 20 and 30-year guys, still plying their trade. And there's some tremendous guys of that vintage in the Pacific Northwest. Some of those guys will be in Prince George, and they're going to be accompanied by, some of the hottest talent that I've ever seen assembled on a single roster. I know that I'm coming to Prince George, and it's not going to be a cakewalk because whoever they've got me against, any one of those other 11 wrestlers that are going to be in Prince George are tremendous athletes and are future champions, and it's going to be a battle. So I don't dismiss any of that.
And that's really our goal, is to make sure that we're bringing in wrestlers that they're all top notch, and any one of them can be our next champion.
That's terrific.
And maybe some of the young guys will take on Vance.
Well, I don't know if there's any guys that are older. There's no old guys to take on Vance. I am the old guy.
Yes, you are.
But as I like to remind people all the time, when they are dismissive, I'll remind them that, listen, you may be 28 years old and in the best shape of your life, and still going, but there must be some reason. There must be some possible reason why promoters keep booking Vance Nevada, and it's not just because I'm handsome. Because I do know what I'm doing between the ropes, and I'm still a very dangerous contender. And if there's a championship on the line, you can bet that I'm going to be right up there in the top 2 or 3.
I don't see eye to eye with Vance all the time, but I will totally concur with that statement.
Yeah, I'll agree with everything you just said there. The indie guys versus the and I'm doing the air quotes again, the pro guys, the pro wrestlers. Yeah.
I think that of the talent that's coming in, there's I'm very pleased to be part of this lineup. The older I get, the more selective I get about where I want to go and where I want to be, because the wrestling industry has changed so much. And so there's definitely locker rooms where they don't appreciate anyone of an extreme vintage, I would say, as myself, because it's a very new school, high risk environment, but they've lost the art of telling a story to an audience. And so I'm very pleased to see the collection of guys that are going to be there. You've got a very well-traveled guy. He's probably the busiest guy in Canadian wrestling right now. Headline Sean Martins. Right now, he's on a tour in Ontario, and he's zigzagging across the country perpetually. We're very fortunate to find a hole in his schedule where he can join us in Prince George. You've got the future legend, as honored by the Cauliflower Alley Club in Las Vegas. Kyle Sebastian is going to be there. And Kyle is a guy who's been to Japan twice. He's been scouted by the likes of Tommy Dreamer and Harley Race for bigger opportunities, and just a natural athlete. And he's a guy that's toured from coast to coast in this country. My tag team partner, the Top Gun, Sean Gaston. I mean, you heard from him today on the Primetime channel. He is, one of the fastest rising stars in Canadian wrestling right now, and I'm very honored to be his tag team partner. And then you can't dismiss the rest of the lineup. You've got some very strong local talent there in Prince George area that I won't acknowledge by name. They can put themselves over, but guys like myself and Davey Deals, Prince George, they're in for an exciting night of professional wrestling action. That's for sure.
2 nights.
2 nights.
2 nights.
2 nights.
The locals might only have 1 night. Vance, Nevada will have 2.
I don't know how to follow that up. Very excited to see you in town, Vance. It's going to be a terrific show.
Can you autograph a Kindle book?
He'll just sign my iPad.
Nice. We can make that happen.
With Sharpie, like he almost
No,
did with
I'll
his
buy the
phone.
real one. I just didn't have any money at the last show.
Yeah, what I can say is, come out March 17th and 18th in Prince George. The fans of Northern BC are in for a treat. Not only do they get to see Mr. Beefy Goodness Vance Nevada live and in screaming color in Prince George, there's a tremendous lineup of both men and women that are going to be on the card, including Kat Von Hees, who currently holds 5 championships across 4 provinces. And she's coming and she's bringing her whole array of belts with her. So fans can not only, meet Kat Von Hees, but they can also see all the championships from across Canada. And of course, all this supports a great cause. All the money is staying right there in Prince George, to support mental health in the community. And that's a big, big job in Prince George. Let's be real. So fans, if you're thinking about going, don't delay. You want to get down to the Scrapbook Zone. You want to get your tickets now, because this show, with the support of Canadian Tire, is sure to sell out. 2 great nights, unforgettable action. Get your tickets now.
And they are moving quick right now, so
That's great. I better get mine tonight.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, we're probably close to 20% sold out, and we haven't even posted the ads or put the posters out yet. It
Awesome.
is just the word of mouth through the page. They're already flying.
What more can you ask for? Nope, that's exactly what you want. Do you have anything else to add, Vance?
Well, all I can say is for management of Primetime Wrestling, make sure you've got the champagne on ice, because it's going to be a big night of celebration for me. We're going to sell out another night of books. We're going to claim some more championships. And we're going to treat all the ladies of Prince George to a night that they're never, ever going to forget. Even the ugly ones.
Yeah, it'll be burned into their mind, I'm sure.
All right. Thank you, Vance. That's Vance Nevada, everybody.
See you in Prince George.
All right. Cool. Well, I didn't expect that call, but I'm glad we got that. Well, thank you, Vance Nevada, for calling in. That was a terrific promo for the show. He's very excited to be here again.
I guess we'll get him signed up and he'll be coming.
Yeah. Well, he's got to be out showing them books off.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good book.
So it's actually, I joked earlier that I only looked at my page, but I've gone through a good chunk of it. It's pretty good, yeah.
I've only looked at my stuff so far.
Yeah, fair enough. That's okay. You got stuff in there.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't have stuff in there, so I'll take a look at most of it.
So yeah, thanks a lot for having us on and
thanks for coming.
getting to share what we're doing and what we're up to, and hopefully there'll be some wrestling fans out there in the Collectoverse.
You know what? There are definitely some wrestling fans who were coming to our store that we sell to. I don't know if they listen to the show, but who knows? You know, us talking
Why
about you
wouldn't they
guys
listen to the show.
might get more people on our show. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's all.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right, guys. Well, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So that event is Primetime Wrestling live at the House of Ancestors, Prince George, BC, March 17th, 18th. Bell rings at 7:30. Tickets are available in Prince George at the Scrapbook Zone on 18th Avenue. Minimum of $5 donation. It is sponsored by Canadian Tire, and it is a fundraiser for the Prince George Crisis Prevention Center. And if you need their services, their number is 250-563-1214, 1-888-562-1214 as well. They're available 24/7 if you need them. Thanks. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Collectoverse podcast. We'll be back next week with a new episode. If you want to see what we're up to in the meantime, you can find all our socials on our website, collectoverse.ca. That is COLLECTOVERSE.ca.
If you like what we do and want to hear more, please subscribe to our Patreon. Our patrons get early access to new episodes and bonus content. You can find that link on our website. That is once again collectoverse.ca, not .com.